Hi, boys and girls, and welcome back to Mr. Grable in our grade 3 math class where we do collections. This one's called Carving New Frontiers. You know, we've seen this one before. Carving New Frontiers. This one looks a little more real, though. You see the kids in there. These look like real kids. That's because this is not a fiction story. This is a non-fiction narrative story. Here we go. A Pioneer Child's Day. So I think they're acting it out. By Bobby Coleman and Tammy Everts. Goodness, John, wake up! It's 5 o'clock already! Mother called upstairs. John opened his eyes. Through the small window in his bedroom, he could see that the sky was still dark. John stretched quickly and jumped out of bed. The morning chores had to be done. When his feet hit the warm floor, he was thankful it wasn't winter. In winter, he had to hop from one foot to foot. In winter, he had to hop from foot to keep his toes from freezing. The water in his wash bowl would be so cold that a thin layer of ice floated on the top. After dressing in his cotton shirt and comfortable trousers, like pants, John hurried downstairs and rushed out to the barn to join his father. Morning chores. Here we are, right up there. Morning chores. I think he's gonna feed the cows. Together, Father and John milked the cows, cleaned the calf pens, and fed the livestock. After giving his pet calf a quick pat, John returned to the house for breakfast. Ooh, and a caption over here telling you all about that picture. John takes a moment to pet his cow, Daisy. Daisy wonders if John has a tasty treat hidden in his hand. A hearty breakfast. Yes. In the kitchen, Mother and Sister Emily bustled around the fireplace preparing breakfast. Soon Father came in, and the family sat down to a hearty breakfast of sizzling bacon, fried potatoes, hot buckwheat pancakes with sweet maple syrup, fresh bread and preserves, and donuts. Sounds like a hearty breakfast, all right. Time for school. John and Emily took the lunchbox that their mother had prepared for them and walked the half-hour trek to school. There was a spelling bee that day, and Emily's team won, as usual. No one could spell as well as Emily. John was happy when the day was over because he hated to see Emily gloat. More chores. After school, John enjoyed helping his father care for the animals. He spread fresh hay in the stalls of the cows, oxen, calves, pigs, and sheep, so the animals could have soft, clean beds. He fed the animals and milked the cows. Finally, it was time for dinner. And the last caption here. Settler children did adult work, such as caring for oxen. So even though they're kids, they did adult work. Well, there you go. Looks like we got some non-fiction picture of a girl and some fiction down at the bottom there. Time for dinner. Good. Now they had a hearty breakfast. Kind of a bag lunch. What about dinner? It was finally dinner time. The kitchen was warm and smelled good. John's stomach growled hungrily as Father said a prayer of thanks and served dinner. Emily and John received their servings last because in those days, adults were always served first. Finally, Father placed a heaping plate of food in front of each child. The plates were piled high with smoked ham, potato cakes, baked beans, butternut squash, Johnny cake, and pickled beets. Ooh-wee. Lots of stuff. Over here in this caption here, at the end of a long day's work, the family enjoys sitting down to a hearty dinner. Everyone is very hungry. John's face lit up when he saw that Mother had prepared his favorite dish. Fried apples and onions. Emily was not happy to see the apples and onions, which she didn't like at all. She did not complain, however. She was supposed to eat everything on her plate without arguing. The children ate quickly as they listened to their parents talk. Emily and John were not allowed to speak unless they were spoken to. But that didn't matter. Their hard work had made them too hungry to talk. Happy evenings by the fire. After dinner, Mother and Emily washed the dishes and cleaned the kitchen. Father sat by the fireplace and whittled a new handle for his axe. John played with some building blocks his father had made for him. Evenings were a happy time when the family sat together around the fire and ate apples, beechnuts, and popcorn. At 9 o'clock, everyone went to bed. They needed plenty of rest for the next busy day. Now in the caption here, it is Emily's job to make butter. Churning the thick cream into soft butter is a hard job that takes hours. But someone has to do it. The fresh, delicious result is worth the effort. Oh, that could be the end of the story, but it's not. There's more to a life here back in the olden days. Settlers, there's lots going on here. Wow, lots and lots. Look at that. A full, busy life. Early settler children had lives that were very different from those of boys and girls today. Difficult work was part of every day. In order to have enough food and clothing, the entire family had to work hard. Boys and girls began to do chores as soon as they were able to walk and talk. Parents loved their children, but they were very strict. They had to be. A family needed cooperation and teamwork to get everything done. And some of the captions there, cutting off his head. Thirsty cows and horses need water to drink. John uses a yoke, that's that thing across the back of his shoulders there, to carry water from the well to the barn. The yoke is worn across his neck and shoulders. It helps John carry loads that would be too heavy otherwise. And there's Emily in the bottom there. Emily helps her mother spin thread, weave cloth, make candles, and sew clothing. In those days, girls learned how to sew when they were young. By the time she was 4 years old, Emily had already stitched her first quilt square. Oh, and some fun times up here. In that caption, John and Emily horse around on the family wagon. Giddy up! No cars back then, remember? using their imagination. Even though boys and girls worked hard, they always found time for fun. Many children today have a huge variety of toys, games, and activities from which to choose. Settler children had to amuse themselves with simple games and a few homemade toys. Most of these games were played outdoors, using objects found around the farm or in the community. An old barrel hoop provided hours of fun when it was rolled with a stick. With a bit of pretending, a fence could be a bucking horse to ride. A sturdy board laid over a tree stump became a simple seesaw. Rocks, leaves, and branches created imaginary houses and forts. A child's only limit was his or her imagination. And then the last caption there, at the bottom, over here. Not every minute was devoted to work. Children played with simple but fun toys. I don't know if you'd like to go back to that time, but it seems like hard work but fun. Kind of like now. Work hard, have fun. Bye-bye.